It's Karen here. Welcome to another video with me, and today marks the start of my 24 days of tags. So each day for the next 24 days I am creating a different video with different techniques and different stamps for 24 days. Today the gorgeous Lavinia lovelies, I'm using Mary and Joseph. This one's called Mary, the stamp. I'm using Christmas tree group. This comes in a whole group together. I'm using 3 blessings: hope, faith and happiness. I've got miniature stars, and in the background I've got this stencil which is white orbs. I love this because you get small orbs on the left, on the right, and large orbs on the other side. So the colours that I'm going to be using: Ketchup Flamingo, Shaded Lilac, Dusty Concord and Black Soot in Distress Oxides. For the stamping I've got Nocturne and Monarch. Each of my tags is 6.5 centimetres by 12.5 centimetres. I've used ribbons and I've used 2 tone in each tag that coordinate with the colours that I've used on the tag. 34 centimetres in length. We'll get started. The card that I'm going to be using is multifarious cardstock from Lavinia. And what I tend to do is I tend to make a batch of my template tags, and then what my ladies did last year was write the colours they used and the techniques that we used on the back of the tag. Some of them put them with a ring holder through them so that they can flip through them and use them for inspiration later. So I do hope you'll tag along with me. If you haven't found my YouTube channel, it's Karen Telfer, and I just love to see your makes. So to create the angles at the top, and I just created one and then used it as a template, 1 centimetre in with my pencil and ruler, and 1 centimetre down on my tag, which, as I said, 6.5 by 12.5 centimetres. 1 centimetre in and 1 centimetre down. And then I just take my scissors and line up from each of those pencil marks and just snip it across. And then I'm going to turn it over. You can either erase those pencil marks, or what I did, just turn it over. Then we're going to create the bottom part, the top part, and put our stamping over the top. So for the bottom, a piece of kitchen towel, just normal kitchen towel, and I'm just going to tear it. So I hold it down and put your fingers quite close to where you're tearing, because you don't actually want too many hills and valleys. Poor Mary and Joseph had a bit of enough of a time without going through too many hills and valleys. So we're going to create a relatively smooth but still jagged edge. I'm going to turn my tag upside down so that when I drag my ink across, the stroke marks are floating downwards. We're going to start with the Ketchup Flamingo and my smoothie here. Now I've just washed all of these. I don't tend to wash them very often, but 3 or 4 months and they're looking a bit ropey. So I just pop them in the washing machine, put them in a smalls bag, 30-degree wash, really quick cycle, and then I leave them on the countertop to dry. And that's what I do. So just lightly, I'm going to pull some of the ink off the kitchen towel onto my tag, and that's going to give me a bit of a variegated edge. This technique works really well. You can use this for clouds, the sea, depending on how you tear the kitchen towel. And obviously different types of kitchen towel tear in different ways. The thicker ones are a bit harder, so you have to keep your hand quite close to the tear line. And you can see what I'm doing as well is I'm moving the kitchen towel along so that we don't have the valleys and the peaks in the same place. all the way along the tag. Now we're going to go just under halfway. That's going to be our bottom, our base. Now we will come back and put some of the black in afterwards. So that's enough for us there. Actually, you know what? I might just do one more. And it won't matter if you go a little too high because the trees will cover it. Fabulous. Then I'm going to create the top with my stencil brush. I'm going to take shaded lilac. We're finished with that. I'm going to use a piece of acetate. I used to use copy paper, but I found, hey, why would I waste that copy paper? And when I can just use this, wipe it clean, and I've got it for all time. So I use it to avoid any finger marks on my work. These stencil brushes are fabulous. They're so soft. So I'm just going to sweep it across the top of my tag. This is going to create us a moody sky. So just something light in the background there. Then we're going to pop our Christmas tree group stamp. And I'm using here VersaFine Clear because they give me a beautiful crisp image all the time. Monarch is the colour that I'm using. And you can see I'm just tapping the ink on the stamp. And I'm going to press that firmly down. It's flying everywhere. Then I'm going to take my white orbs stencil. I keep saying orbs, it's orb, white orb stencil. And I'm going to use the smaller orbs. And I'm going to take Dusty Concord. Just want a contrasting colour. And hey, you can change up the colours if you don't like purples or lilacs. Use pinks, use blues, greens. Oh, oranges and lemons. That would go really well. So, just give us a bit of interest there for our background. And I'm going to take one of my favourite stars of all time. Oops, I just want to I want to do this stamping second generation here so that it's not too bright in this night sky. This is one of my favorite stamps. It's so versatile and you can use all or part of it. So there, we've just got those stars popping up around the top of those trees. We're now going to stamp Mary and Joseph. For this, I'm going to use my stamp platform just to be sure that I get my nice crisp image for you. And I'm going to be using Nocturne, my favourite for silhouette stamping. Got a brand new ink pad here, so we should get a nice crisp image. So we want to place Mary and Joseph so that their heads are sort of into the trees. Lovely. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm just going to clean off my stamp here. So I just use water, always. And then a lint-free cloth. And actually what I got was, I went into the baby section of the supermarket and I got these fabulous muslin cloths. Look at, I mean, they're a decent size. They're fabulous. Yeah, just called muslin cloth. And I love them because there's no fibres, doesn't leave it anywhere near your stamps, so that's fabulous, just what we need. Now we're going to create a bit of grounding for them. So again, I'm going to turn it upside down, use my same piece of kitchen towel, and I'm just going to find my black soot. And I'm just going to, again, flick some of this ink underneath where they would be traveling. To create a bit of a shadow and to ground them in. There we go. Now what we're going to do is take Ketchup Flamingo. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous pink. And I'm going to blend around the edge of my tag. And that's a very new ink pad. Blend around the edge of my ink pad. No, not my ink pad. Blend around the edge of my tag. Now I'm coming in a bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the very edge with black soot. I like to frame my work. It draws the eye to the center, to the focal point of your, which is your stamping. So you can see what I've done there is we've got a nice frame of the pink. I'm just going to clean my mat here because otherwise when I'm blending my black in, we're going to get a pinky black and a blacky pink. Now I'm going to take black soot. You can see what I tend to do here is dab a bit off, because it's much easier to apply it and layer it than it is if you go in too dark. And I'm just going around the edge, just touching the edge of this card to draw that edge in and give it an extra bit of framing. Just touching the edge. There it is. Voila. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to stamp our sentiments. Hope, faith, and happiness. And for that, I'm using Monarch. And we're going to start with faith. Beautifully crystal clear this text, this font on these stamps. Now, and I'm going to go happiness at the bottom. And then hope at the top. Hey, the order doesn't matter. I just like the balance that these gave. So there we have our tag. Now I'm going to show you how I did the top, and I used my fabulous Big Bite. If you don't have a Big Bite, then use any kind of punch that you've got. I used one of my previous tags. I found the center, and then I just created my hole. That way all of my tags will have the hole in the same place. So if I was to put it on a ring, they're all held in the same way. And then, as I said, for my ribbons, 34 centimeters in length, and I chose contrasting ribbons, contrasting colors, textures, thicknesses. So, you know, this one is, I think this one is, how long is it? 1.5 centimeters, whereas this is just 1 centimeter wide. I cut each of them at an angle there. Then I fold them in half and squish it through the hole that I've created. And then I'm going to pull these through. There we have it. So there, day 1 of my 24 days of tags. I'd love to see your makes. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.